A local entrepreneur working to reopen her coffee business after receiving a cease and desist from the Brown County Public Health and Human Services. The notice coming less than 2 months after she opened. Mary Piacente sits down with the owner to talk about the closure in a story you'll see only on Action 2 News.
I cried. I can't lie. Because again, I wasn't planning for this to be a business. It just took off extremely fast.
Stay Woke Brew closed indefinitely after receiving a notice from the health department. Owner Mercedes Johnson was issued a cease and desist, meaning that she couldn't keep operating unless she wanted to face fees, citations, or possible denial of licensing. Johnson making custom coffees with her daughter out of her Green Bay apartment for thirsty customers on social media, a practice the Brown County Public Health Division says is illegal without a license.
It is about food safety because when we are able to license appropriately, we are able to reduce the number of foodborne outbreaks or illnesses that can occur from establishments that are not properly licensed.
Items like iced coffees on the Stay Woke Brew menu require refrigeration, meaning that proper licensing to sell them is key. Johnson saying she started her unexpected business after garnering some popularity on social media and didn't know she needed a certain license.
There are several places previously that we were made aware that they were selling illegally, and we have since worked with them, and they are now successfully licensed establishments in the community.
Johnson adds that after a talk with public health and getting help from local businesses, she's renewing her food safety training, getting proper permitting, and hopes to reopen soon in a new location.
I hope that we can continue doing this and that it doesn't have to stay on pause for long, because it is something that me and my daughter do enjoy doing together, and we love making the community happy and smile.
In Green Bay, Mary Piacente, Action 2 News.